Alright, we're starting out with weighted pull-ups. I want to talk about a couple variations that you can do on it. Obviously you can have a dip belt, put that around your waist, and that's the one that has like the chain in front. I don't think they have a dip belt here, so I'm going to try to jerry-rig one, or I'm going to put it between my legs, and y'all see that in one of the next clips. A couple things that you can do to increase the intensity of this, if you feel like you want to get a little bit more out of it, is obviously you can hold a pause up the top for a little bit longer, really squeezing those lats. Adduct those elbows, meaning taking these elbows and pull them into your side as hard as possible, and a little bit back, a little bit of lean backwards. Puff your chest out as big as you can. Bring that chest up to the bar. You're not going to touch the bar, but that's okay. Give me a pause at the top. Main thing about pull-ups is I want them to be controlled. I don't want any of the kicking pull-ups, anything like that. That's where CrossFit actually starts getting their bad name, is whenever they start using those cheat reps, especially on those calisthenic movements. So let's keep it, since we're trying to build muscle, since we're trying to create a physique, that's what this channel is focused around. We're going to make sure we stay controlled with every single movement. Other things we can do is 1.5 reps like you see right here. 1.5 reps basically allow for you to challenge that top portion of the rep a little bit more, since we're a little bit stronger there. You can also do accentuated eccentrics. You can do side-to-side pull-ups, things like that. I'm not going to show you all those because I'm just doing heavy pull-ups. But the cool thing about the pull-up compared to the lat pull-down is it actually activates more musculature in your back and overall, because you have to stabilize everything. Lat activation is going to be very comparable to both of them. If you want to target your lats just a little bit more, you can do a lat pull-down. I already did lat pull-downs earlier this week, so we're going to target it with heavy pull-ups today. Main thing, like I said, just staying controlled, but we're going to get after it right now. Here we go. Another thing I wanted to talk about alongside with control is don't bounce down at the bottom. So at the bottom, don't do this little bounce and kind of come back up. The reason we don't do that is because our tendons store a little bit of kinetic energy in there. In other words, just like a rubber band. Whenever they stretch out, they're going to give a little bit more back. So you want to come down to a dead hang as close to still as possible. Whenever you do that, you're going to get a little bit more of a contraction as well. So we want to pause at the bottom and top of every single rep of nearly every exercise that we're doing. Unless you're doing constant tension exercises. Constant tensions usually are done in the 15 to 20 rep range, and that's designed more to deliver blood to the muscle so that we can get more of a pump, fill that muscle out a little bit. It's just a slightly different technique to work muscle fibers in a different way. We're going to continue to do this. If you noticed, I didn't get a dip belt, so I'm putting it between my legs. I'm basically just crossing my legs, put the weight there, bend my knees behind. You gotta make do with what you got. But yeah, we're going to keep going. I'm doing sets of 8 right now. We're going to do a total of 3 sets today, and then we're going to move on to incline bench right after that. All right, on this last set, I want to do something just a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and do a drop set with it. So whenever I reach failure, I'm going to set the weight down. Then I'm going to be doing a 3-second pause up at the top until I can't do that anymore. Then just do standard reps. And then whenever I can't do that anymore, the last 2 are going to be kind of cheat reps, but I'm going to control it on the way down. So I'm going to kind of kip up to the top, hold it there, and then eccentric on the way down. Eccentric being the bottom, or whenever the muscle's stretching, that portion of the exercise. So we're gonna do that just to try to reach a little bit more muscular failure, because this is my big lift for the day, so I really wanna make sure that I get as much failure in this as possible, and then we'll move on to the next lifts. All right, yeah, well, we're on to incline incline barbell press right now. So before I do this, I'm gonna go ahead and do some pre-activation exercises. Remember that pre-activation is the one we wanna go for, not pre-fatigue. Pre-fatigue does not work. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be pressing against the rack there and trying to just squeeze my chest as much as possible, basically training my brain, getting that mind-muscle connection to say, hey, you are about to work, so get to work, basically. So we're gonna start with that, then we're gonna do some light warm-ups, pyramid up to a top set, and then move on to the next portion of the workout. All right, y'all, so I didn't realize how much of a snob I've become about what shoes I'm wearing. Right now I'm wearing some Adidas wrestling shoes. There they are. So I was just doing that set, and I was like, something feels off. And it turns out I was wearing my regular running shoes. These are Ultra Boost, which have a lot of cushion to them. By design, they're supposed to have a lot of cushion in them. I'm gonna set these down. But whenever I am doing my press, I'm pushing off of my feet so much that I can feel that little resistance. So I guess that makes me a snob now. Didn't realize I was gonna convert so much into that. Man, that's weird. But whenever I'm doing this incline bench press, right now I'm on a split where I'm trying out some wide bench press. The reason I'm doing that is it's kind of similar to a sumo deadlift, where it's a little bit slower off the chest, but once you get over that sticking point, it's a lot faster. I just like to try everything out, do them in like 4 to 6 month splits, just so I can perfect the technique and make sure I like it. Like right now, I'm in the middle of a sumo, deadlift, and I'm actually liking sumo deadlift a little bit more, even though I've only done it for 3 weeks or so. That's always great, but alternating between them is always good. Anyways, so what I'm doing right now is I'm retracting my scapulates, not only pulling them back in together, but also down. That gives me that thoracic extension that I'm looking for. That's the big chest look that we're looking for. I'm keeping my core tight so that my lumbar spine, my lower back, does not arch too much, because that can put unwanted pressure on that. I'm squeezing my glutes together so that I have a very, very solid base, because whenever I'm squeezing my back together, that's making a tight back so that I've got a solid base, so I'm just lifting off of something that's hard and not something that's soft. Same thing with my glutes, and squeezing those together, pushing through my legs, pushing my knees out as much as possible, contracting my lats down, and then I'm also spreading the bar apart. Whenever you spread the bar apart, it just tightens that upper back up a little bit more, gives you a little bit more of a solid base to push off of. And then whenever I'm doing the lift, I'm squeezing my elbows together as hard as I can to get a little bit more emphasis on that chest. I'm gonna keep working up on here, giving you guys some insight into some of the stuff that I'm doing. I'm trying to give it as much information as possible to y'all. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about any of the things that I'm saying, you want me to go more in depth on it, let me know down in the comments. I'll make an entire video dedicated to just a specific exercise if you want anything to a specific muscle group. I'm gonna get back to work. And all right, y'all, so I just got a lift off on that recent set. I want to talk about lift offs, what to expect, what to do during them. Yeah, I covered a lot of topics in this video. I don't know what I'm gonna talk about in the next one. With the lift off, basically, for me, for a spotter, unless I'm going for a top set where I'm actually trying to hit an RPE of 9 or 10, I don't really care about the spot at all, so I just had them back off a little bit. Just the lift off. So the whole point of a lift off is so that you can keep that position, keep your position, so you don't roll forward, because usually whenever you lift off, you take your shoulders and you roll them forward to help unrack it. And we don't want that to happen. So you've got a couple different types of lift offs. You've got, I call it a heavy lift off or a fast lift off, where they pick it up and they kind of just drop it on you. Some people like that because then they can start going immediately. I'm not a fan of that because I just go, oh shoot, there's the weight. I like a medium lift off, and then there's also some people that like a slow lift off as well, where they pick it up and they go on really, really slow. So yeah, the whole point of a lift off is so you can maintain that position. So I got one more set, and we're gonna move on to the next thing after that. All right, so that last set was more of an example of like a heavy lift off that you guys could see it kind of just went up and drop it on. All right, so next exercise is Egyptian laterals. That's how I've called them. You can call them leaning laterals, leaning cable route laterals, I don't know, whatever you prefer. There's no textbook that tells you exactly how you have to call them. But basically you're leaning away, you're grabbing on to some object like this, leaning away. I put the cable between my legs, some people put it behind, some people put it in front. Either way, basically the whole point of it is to load up the top portion of a dumbbell lateral, or of a lateral exercise. So like this portion up here, that's when our lateral delt is going to be the most activated. At the bottom, we're gonna get a little bit of rotator cuff in there, so we're trying to minimize that. And I just wanna go over a couple things whenever you do shoulder exercises, specifically laterals, to be able to decrease your trap involvement. One thing you're gonna wanna do is pinch your shoulder blades down and back. That'll make it so if my shoulder blades are down and back, I can't shrug my shoulders at all. Whenever I shrug my shoulders, my shoulder blades have to go up. So if I keep my shoulder blades down and back, that's good. And then you also want to make sure that you reach as far out as possible and reach like you're going underneath the fence. And then if you feel like you've got the exercise down a lot and that you're not involving any traps at all, and you feel like you've mastered that, then only at that point, because before that, if you do it before that, then you might start getting some bad habits. But you can start pronation here, where you start turning your thumb down just a little bit. Our lateral delt is most activated whenever we've got a little bit of pronation in it. But also, one thing that you see whenever you do pronation is this shoulder shrug. So you have to be able to do that pronation without the shoulder shrug first. So, like I said, make sure you master the exercise before you start adding advanced techniques into it. We're not going all the way down, so we're not going all the way down to here. We're stopping about where our arm is vertical, so check yourself in the mirror. Make sure you get that squeeze up the top. Don't just touch the top, come up, get a squeeze, feel that delt, work on that mind-muscle connection. You're gonna start building those boulder shoulders faster than you know. So I'm gonna do 2 more sets of this. Right now I'm doing sets of 10, and yeah. All right, also I've got iso row next. I'm gonna be using a low row today because they don't have an iso row here machine. They do have like the cable version. Cable version's not bad. For some reason I like the free weight whenever you can do this thing right here. So I'm gonna try this low row, see how it feels. Should activate lats pretty well. But if I don't like it, I'll just go over to a T-bar row and do more of a close grip so I can target the lats. All right, so I just did a mock set, basically just to try it out, see how it felt. Brought up a good point, or an opportunity for me to talk about something. Whenever y'all use a new machine or do a new exercise, things like that, mess around with your grip, move where your arm is. Don't keep the seat in the exact same place that you found it, because chances are the person was different that was sitting there beforehand. But mess around with it, you'll find stuff that works, stuff that doesn't work. I found that my hand placement whenever I go way down on this grip targeted my lats a lot better, drop the seat down a few notches, things like that. But yeah, whenever you guys get to a new machine that you've never done before, or even one that you have done before that you just take for granted, mess around with the grips, try to get that muscle activation to the highest point that you can. But yeah, we're gonna start adding weight to this and start doing our working sets right here. All right, y'all can see me figure that exercise out in the first set. Whenever you start adding weight, it changes how your muscles behave under the load, how your body behaves under the load. So you see me messing around with a couple things. I didn't go all the way down on the first couple, realized that, started going all the way down. Man, this is, I don't know if it's because it's a new exercise or not. I'm feeling this one for sure. I need to add a little bit more weight. Oh, I'm gonna try that again. Yeah. One-handed weight, or plate loading. Yeah, I'm gonna add some more weight and keep going at it. But yeah, definitely give this a try if it's at your gym. All right, also side note on those low rows, usually they're supposed to be a little bit more for the upper back, because whenever you're pulling from a low to a high, then you're gonna target a little bit upper back. I decided to turn it more into a lat exercise by grabbing the portion that was vertical here so I could pull it in a little bit more. Targeted the lats really well because that was what's supposed to be in my program. I definitely want to try that with up high, or in this horizontal grip at some point. Go this way so you guys can see me. Next, we've got a close grip pull down. This is probably one of my favorite back exercises. I use it primarily to target depth of the lats. So I pull down hard, and the first motion is this shoulder downward motion, and then pull it straight to your chest. Right here, you're gonna see with the V-bar, a little bit of arch in the back, try to pull it straight down. Try to act like you're gonna hit your head and then move your head out of the way, touch your chest right after that. Really flex those lats down, adduct those elbows, really pull those elbows back, don't curl the weight. If you focus on pulling the weight down, then you're probably gonna curl the weight. If you focus on pulling your elbows back, you will activate your lats a lot. So we're gonna go ahead and hit this like one of my favorite exercises. You should really feel it in your lats. So we're gonna go ahead and get this started, and I'll see you after. All right, y'all, one thing I like about those close grip pull-downs is there's not really very many intricacies that you can go in and change a whole bunch. It's basically just pull down the weight, make sure you're squeezing the right muscle, and that's about it. There are a couple things, like I said, but like on other exercises, you can kind of like, there's a lot of tiny things that you can change, completely change the exercise. Those close grip pull-downs, they're pretty solid, just because it's really easy. Just bring it down to your chest, that's about it. We're about to do some cable crossovers. We have a couple variations of these. I'm gonna take y'all over here, actually. So, I have it set up on, let me flip this around. I have it set up on one of these where cable is going to be about neck height right here, a little bit, maybe shoulder height, whatever you want to say. And then there's a couple ways that you can do these. You can step way forward over here, and I'll show you all that in this video right here. And basically, this is going to be more like a bench press than anything, and you're really targeting that bottom portion of the rep, or the portion where your elbows are back. And then you're gonna have this version right here, the one that I'm gonna be doing today. I'm gonna be back more in the rack and squeezing my arms more together, working that inner portion of the chest so that I can make sure that I can develop those cuts, create an illusion of a larger chest. And I really need that because genetically I was not gifted with a big barrel chest. So really focusing on squeezing across, a little bit of medial rotation, your arm medial rotation being here. And that's gonna help us because that's one of the functions of our chest, is to immediately rotate our arm. Really focusing on squeezing those elbows together as much as possible. But y'all see it in this technique right here. I just want to say some of it right now. A couple other things I just thought about. Make sure you pick your chest up. Whenever you're doing any chest exercise, we want to pick our chest up as much as possible, otherwise our shoulders are gonna roll forward. We're gonna get that front delt activation that we don't want unless you're trying to work your front delt, but again, there's better exercises to do so. And then one other thing is that you want to switch your hands on each crossover, just because otherwise you're gonna be working the top portion of one and then the bottom portion of the other, which we don't want to do, but that's a pretty easy thing to do, just alternate each time. All right, I'll just finish those cable crossovers. Going on to the last exercise of the day. We've got banded extension curls. These are probably my favorite bicep builders because we get to use bands. And for those of y'all that have not used bands before, on your arms specifically, or any other muscle group, they kill. They're one of the best ways to get a pump, in my opinion, because it modifies the strength curve. So the strength curve is how much tension is on your muscle versus how much strength your muscle has. The reason that I like using bands is because we're stronger at the top of our rep. Anybody that's done a squat knows this. So if you think about the bottom of your rep, that's the hardest part. That's where a lot of people will fail, not at that lockout. So if you think about it for our bicep, whenever we are doing that full-on extended cable curl, we should have the lightest weight at the bottom because the band is not stretched out yet. It's not providing a full source of tension. And then whenever we get to the top, the closer we get up to the top, the more tension we're going to get on it. And also we can easily do a drop set just by stepping back really quick, and you're going to see that as well. And then at the very end, we're gonna do just constant tension curls, try to get a little bit more of a pump. We're only doing 2 sets of these today because it's gonna be so rep heavy and just getting as many reps in there as possible. Plus we've already targeted the biceps a bunch with any of our back exercises that we've done. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get into it right and now.